I've hit live, so fingers crossed it goes through and Helen gives you the nod soon.
Okay, it's a beautiful day here in Northumberland today. Absolutely sunny. You can see those beautiful, fluffy white clouds behind me and beautiful blue sky. My name is John Renner, and I'm here with my wife, Helen, who's backing up whenever we do these sort of things. She backs us up. We are trying something completely different today. We've had to because of the situation. We found ourselves in the Northeast with the lockdown due to coronavirus. I've got a really good friend who's been a long-term friend called Richard Sim, who's a chef, and we were going to be cooking in our garden and talking about lamb. We're going to do exactly the same thing, but bear with us because we're trying something quite different through Zoom. Richard's here. Richard's sitting outside his restaurant in Bamburgh, about 6 miles away, but he's going to be like a little devil on my shoulder telling me exactly what I want to do or what I've got to do. So hello to everybody. Just bear with us. Hope it works brilliantly. And thank you very much, Annabelle. She knows exactly who she is. Richard, hello. How are you?
I'm very well. Are you all right? Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. There was a bit pause there. Panicked a little bit. Thought it hadn't worked at the beginning. Right, Richard, can I show you? I'll show you what I've done. Can you see that barbecue?
Yeah, looking good, looking hot.
Does that? Should I just start at the wrong end and put the lamb straight on that we're talking about, and then we'll talk about the lamb?
Yeah, please do. Yeah, I think get it on, get it cooking.
Well, what I'm doing now is I've done a bit of lamb and it's been marinating for a little while, and I've just put it on. I said I was going to do it like a caveman, and there it is. It's like a caveman on the barbecue, sizzling away. Do you want to say what it is, Richard? And then we'll...
It's a butterflied leg of one of your lambs. So I've got exactly the same thing sat in front of me. I don't know if anybody can see that. Trying to work this out. So just down there in front of me, you can see I've got exactly the same product. So I'm just going to talk you through how I would cook it and tell you how the farmer's doing it all wrong, which I'm sure he will be. Knowing John.
Thank you very much. Go on, you carry away. I'm watching this burn too.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, I'll take the garlic out because I don't like garlic in my lamb. It's not very nice. And I'll take that rosemary out because that's overpowering at this time of year, you know. You know all these. So, I mean, lamb, it is one of the best things to barbecue. And, you know, the people keep growing all, you know, your burgers and your steaks and things like that. But to cook a whole piece of lamb, you cook it like a large chunk of meat on a barbecue. There's just something about it. It gives you a depth of flavour that you just don't get from any other method of cooking. The secret is with a leg of lamb is the quality of the lamb, which we'll come on to later and talk about sort of breeds and why lamb is so different, regionally, county, nationally, worldwide. You know, it all tastes very, very different. It's but we'll go back to the basics and sort of show you say what we've got. We've got a sort of a butterflied leg of lamb, so it's not as big or as thick as you would think it's going to be, and because they've butterflied it, as you can see, it's of an even thickness all the way through. Now that's the important thing. It's got to be even. You know, it's pointless having a big lump here and a little thin lump here, because this end will be totally ruined. That end will be not so good. The other thing is, if you look on it, there's a layer of fat on one side, which is obviously the outer of the lamb, and then you turn that over, and then you've got the lovely pink of the inside of the lamb. Now, me personally, I'll always start cooking it skin side down onto the flame. What that does is it releases a lot of the fat, the external fat, the fat that lies on the outside of the meat, and that starts dripping through the flame, and you get that lovely sort of smoky barbecue flavour, what you're after. What a lot of people don't understand is a lot of the fat in lamb, and not, you know, people got this thing, oh, it's fatty, it's you know, this lamb's this lamb's that. It's not. You know, don't be scared of, you know, a little bit of fat. You can always take the fat off. You cannot add the fat. That's a very, very important thing with all things you're cooking. So what we look for as a chef, we look for what we call intramuscular fat. And that's the white flecks that you see in the pink meat. Now that is the most important thing in any meat. Now the intramuscular fat is what gives you the tenderness and you know, it moisture, you know, as that melts when you're cooking, it moistures down. The other thing is when you're cooking lamb or cooking any large piece of meat is make sure you've taken it out of the fridge a good hour before you start cooking it. Did that, John?
It was out for ages, Richard. It was out for ages.
Good.
But it's because am I right in thinking it's because it's the shock of going from the cold to the hot?
It is. It tightens up. I mean, we'll talk about this towards the end, and it's the other thing that's very, very important about cooking or roasting any kind of meat is you've got to relax. You've got to let it relax. After you've finished cooking it, you've got to take it off the heat and let it relax. That's the majority of where people go wrong with cooking things. So you get brown, and raw in the middle, which is what you don't want. You want, that lovely pink right the way through, if you like your lamb pink. The beauty thing,
Tell me, Richard, we're really talking about provenance of lamb. You tell me about Northumberland lamb and tell me why my lamb's the best.
Yeah, I mean, well, yours isn't the best, John. Yours is what we get, the problems, I always, we spoke earlier, we've known each other for years, and, everyone's always on, use local, shop local, do this, do that. And I'm a great believer in it, but that doesn't rule me. That's not what I do. I use the best ingredient that I can get, and then whether that be a lobster, whether that be a scallop, the langoustines at the moment are all coming from the west coast, because at the moment in time, the lads at the northeast aren't fishing for them, so the best langoustines I can get all come off the west side. And so as a chef, I'm ruled by whatever's best, and I mean, I personally believe that Northumberland lamb is the best. If you had a Welsh chef on here, I'm sure you would disagree, and say, well, Welsh lamb's best. And what I love about Northumberland lamb is the difference, I'm luckily right on the coast here at Bamburgh, so we get lovely spring lamb. So we have lamb ready sort of April, May time, which is, lovely, really nice spring lambs. And then you go through the likes of yourself, and I'm sure you're on sort of June, July, your lambs will start to become ready, which is sort of semi-lowland sort of hill. And then you go right away through onto the hill lambs, which personally are my very favourites.
I can only agree. Those small little Scottish blackface lambs down from the hill. Oh, they're fantastic.
This is the time of year you want to be buying them. This is September, October is, all they've had is, the mother's milk and the finest mixture of grasses and wild herbs on them hills. People talk about organics and the importance of organics. I mean, that is totally, they're almost goat-like in the thing. I mean, I always think that, the Lake District get it very, very well. They've done a lot of work with Herdwick and the breed of Herdwick sheep, and how well they work, And I think we've missed a trick with the Northumbrian blackface lamb. I work a little bit with Ross Wilson, who has Ingram Valley lamb, and you'll know Ross well as well. And Ross has some fabulous blackies off the hill. And yes, they're a lot smaller, which puts probably the supermarkets and people who are having a party, it's quality over quantity. And I understand how farming works, that you've got to make money out of these things, and that's how it works. Unfortunately, blackie lambs don't grow that big, and that. So
but they're so. I tell you what, I'm going to push us on, Richard. Let's talk about what I'm cooking on. I'm cooking on charcoal. Now, we had a little conversation before, and that's whenever you'd cut barbecuing outside, you suggested that charcoal wasn't always the best.
I think the thing with charcoal is there's a lot of this sort of manufactured, almost like coke charcoal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're using local Lindisfarne charcoal. It's sustainable. So it's got ticks all the right boxes.
Yeah, and it'll be shaped like sticks rather than shaped like bricks, which is what you need for in any good charcoal. I mean, personally, we cook on the outside. We just use small oak logs. Very lucky where we are, we can get them, and I just think that for me as a chef, it just gives me a little bit more of. I can vary the heat a lot more. I can, heat it up. I can cool it down a lot quicker than I can with charcoal. And you're probably burning that to a nice cinder now, John. Are you?
I am. It's going. It's like sausages.
Yeah.
I tell you what I've got. I've got the outside. If it's in shot, I can't see for the smoke. I've got the outside absolutely sizzled. I cooked the underside, the outside of the lamb first, and it's really sizzled. Now I've turned it over, and I'm doing just as Richard's told me.
Don't worry about that. People, see it and they go, "Oh, that's burnt." That's, but as I was saying earlier, relax out. It will relax out. What we use, what I love is, especially this time of year, especially those hill lambs, because they've got a stronger flavour than a spring lamb. So they can take a heavier hit. We use this stuff here, which is we make it. It's just crab apple jelly. So it's just you basically the lovely little crab apples you see that nobody bothers with these days. We boil them up in water, Just literally cover them with water, boil them, strain them through a jelly bag, and it's a pound of sugar to a pint of juice. You boil it back up and it sets like a jelly. Now that is, brush that on the lamb. After you finish cooking with it, that is amazing. The other thing that we do is mint sauce. Now this isn't mint sauce as you know mint sauce. It comes in a jar and tastes nothing like mint and nothing that you'd really want to put on your dinner. This is, and it's so easy to make, and people are always amazed by it. And it's not a hard thing to do. It's equal quantities of white wine vinegar and caster sugar, a chopped shallot, boil that up, and as much mint as you can. Chop it up, throw it in, leave it for half an hour. Honestly, you'll never ever buy a jar. You'll never buy a jar of mint sauce again.
I love my mint sauce. I love my mint sauce. The other thing I wanted to talk about is what we're going to have with the lamb, and we're talking about provenance and local produce. I've managed to get a hold of some Carol's Heritage potatoes. Can you see the box there?
Yeah,
now,
Lucy
and Anthony Carroll, they're leaf farmers, and he's very kindly given us some Sharps Express today. He said they were just perfect for what we're doing. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take a little pouch that I've made earlier. It's just like Blue Peter, as someone said earlier. And I've wrapped those potatoes up with a little bit of cheese and a little bit of parboiled, a little bit of bacon or Parma ham, and then you just leave them to boil away and they're just absolutely come out all soft and mushy. What do you think of that? You like roasty ones, though, don't you?
I don't like that at all, John. I think that's absolute. And I think Auntie Carol stopped talking to you if he sees you do well with potatoes, to be honest with you. I mean, you're taking a beautiful thing there, and I know you'll chuck some cheap cheese on it. You said Parma ham. I mean, what part of local's that? Come on, John, pull the effect out, really, come on. I mean, Anthony's potatoes, Lucy done a fantastic job. We've been going for a long, long time now, and again, starting to sort of like a little hobby farmer, but they've grown up massive now with the potatoes, and they just produce such an excellent quality product. We use them at the restaurant all the time, and Lucy's always on the phone, sort of saying, use this one this week, use that one this week, and brilliant, absolutely. And again, it's just the flavour. We just literally what I would do there, if I was there, I'd just put a metal tray on your barbecue, good splash of like a rapeseed oil or an olive oil, whatever you want to do, nothing too pungently flavoured. Then dice the potato, sort of probably half the potato. The Sharps Express will not be very big. They'll probably be what size of it? They'll not be huge at all. Cut them in half. Literally throw them in the tin and just keep rattling the tin when you can be bothered. Just give the tin a shake. And what happens is they'll come like the heat goes around them, so they almost bake and they roast at the same time, and they go lovely and crispy. Maybe throw a little bit of rosemary on them. Maybe it's a little bit of garlic if you want to do that. That's probably where I would have added the garlic rather than spoil it by putting it on the lamb. You'll learn, John. You'll learn.
I'll learn. Well, I'm not a chef. I'm the guy that burns sausages. I'm the father that burns sausages on the barbecue. I don't do this. You do this.
And then from there, what I would do is, as I was told earlier, we were talking about it, at the beginning, is the secret is to rest your meat once you've finished barbecuing. So what I'd do once I'd finished barbecuing and the potatoes were nearly ready, I'd lift the lamb off, I'd slide on top of the potatoes. And what will happen is all the juice and the really tasty, crispy bits from the lamb will all sort of dissolve into those potatoes. And when you come to serve it, just beautiful with a quality olive oil. Sometimes of that, you maybe put a splash of cider vinegar or just a good splash of the mint sauce, and that'll just lift it. It gives you that sweet and sour, that that acid and sweet taste together. And that's a lot of things about cooking. It is about that. It's a weird thing that somebody once told me that you only have 5 taste centers on your tongue, and the rest are all in your nose, and in your mouth. So if you don't believe me, if you get one of those potatoes and get a slice of pear and a slice of potato and nip your nose and eat either one, you'll not be able to tell me which is which. Until you release it comes out.
You better not tell Anthony Carroll that, because he says potatoes. Well, Anthony, if you're watching.
His potatoes are fantastic. That's why I'm giving you wrong for putting bacon and cheese on them, because you don't need them. Made them themselves. I had them. I was cooking with something very posh last night, and I did them with caviar, and they're absolutely fantastic. Just if you roast a potato and a little bit of touch of caviar on them, a little bit of sour cream, just unbelievable. Much better than toast. So
potatoes and caviar, it's a new one on me.
No.
Caviar's quite a rare one on me anyway.
No, I don't believe it. I've been at your parties.
The other thing I wanted to tell you about is our lamb, get back to the lamb because that's what we wanted to talk about. Our lamb, we lamb in the middle of April to dodge all the bad weather. Richard knows exactly what the bad weather's like in Northumberland in April. It can be horrendous. So we do it in the end of April, and actually our lambs don't get any other feed apart from grass and their mother's milk. And we only have breeds that are easy to lamb, so it takes all the hard work out of lambing. And this is a really funny year. Our lambs have grown very rapidly this year, and we are getting weights of lambs way above what we've ever experienced before. And so we're getting different sorts of lamb coming onto the market now. But I think you've got to experience what's coming onto the market. Our lamb usually comes on mid-late autumn, but it's coming on at the end of summer, early autumn now. And this will be happening nationwide, I would imagine. Have you noticed any difference in the type of lamb you're getting forward?
I mean, it has been, it's really good, been a good year for livestock, it's been good grass growing year. And as you say, there's been plenty of it. Nice bit of sun on the back, it's, they've always, they've got to have a good warm, yourself, how well lambs do in warm weather or not silly hot weather, but, nice, warm, steady weather like we've had here this year in Northumberland. We had a lovely April and May. June, July was wet, but, it's still warm enough for the grass to grow. I'm sure you've got plenty of hay and silage put in. It's been one of those years. It's been fantastic. And I mean, the product is great. But I think, what you've got to remember with lamb is, we talked about it again this morning. We've had a bit of a pre-meeting. As I said, for me, lamb's like red wine from France. So you go to France and you get red wine, it changes.
Sorry, Richard, we've got a question come in. Helen put her hand up and told me. Someone said, what marinade are we using on the lamb? Do you want to talk through that? Because mine's a Heath Robinson effort, whereas yours would be an awful lot better.
To be honest with you, with good quality lambs at this time of year, I don't. I use some good Malden sea salt or a good flaky sea salt and a freshly milled black pepper. And that's about, I think it doesn't need a lot more. It does,
right.
You've got charcoal, you've got everything about it. If you do want to marinate it overnight, again, you'd normally use an oil base, something with a little bit of olive oil or a little bit of rapeseed oil. And then you need an acid in there. So you need a vinegar or a little bit of splash of white wine or a little bit of splash of red wine. White wine does very, very well with lamb. The acidity just helps break it down a little bit.
Right. Does it make it any softer, the white wine?
I don't think so. I don't think it's not something I'd ever think of using. My personal favorite on the barbecue is actually shoulder lamb.
Right.
I think shoulder lamb is fantastic on a barbecue. A lot of people would say, "Oh, shoulders take a lot of cooking. They're tough because that's the leg that they use the most and things." But not at this time of year. Not with the quality of lamb that we're talking about from yourselves.
Yeah, I better just say that what we've done here, we're going to slice this up in a few minutes, but just tell everybody, it usually takes about 40-45 minutes on the barbecue to cook a butterfly. Would you agree?
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
I would cook it for half an hour, 30 minutes, and then rest it for 10 minutes. That's the secret.
Just to speed up the process today, we pre-cooked this for about 20 minutes, half an hour, sorry. And then we brought it out and said we frizzled the outside.
That's terrible. That's just not good enough. No,
I couldn't cook it in 20 minutes, Richard. That was why.
So it's got to be. It does take a nice half an hour on a nice steady barbecue, as you say.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to talk, or should we take this lamb off? Because I'm going to have to hand over to Helen.
Take it off and let it and let it rest for a couple of minutes, just to let it grow through itself. Just let it set. It's like if I threw you on the fire, you would curl it into a tight ball and go, wow, that really hurts. And then after half an hour and a glass of wine, you go, oh, that really hurts so much. And then that's how it is. You've got to imagine it's a protein, so it tightens up. So you've got to give it that time just to relax out of it. Oh. Looking good, John. Looking good.
Can you? That's so we'll just sit and look at that for a couple of minutes, and then I wanted everybody to see how beautiful it is on the inside when we're. I've got my carving knife here ready, and my beautiful assistant has just handed the camera back to me. You didn't even see the swap over, did you?
So no, as we were saying about the lamb.
Yes, brass lamb. We've talked about.
The quality and how lamb changes from. You need a different type of lamb every week of the year. You could start with sort of the sowie and there's a guy up in the Eyemouth near us that has the sours on the cliff face, which come down and eat the seaweed on the thing, and they're almost like a goat. They really are goat taste. And then you get the salt marsh lambs, sort of down this coast, right on the coast side, and they've got a different flavour. And then to yourself, which is a lovely, quality lamb. You're near enough, you get that salty air off the coast. Your grass grows well. You've got a real nice mixture of grasses there. They eat the weeds. You know what they like to eat. They don't just eat.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, I had some lamb from Essex off the salt marshes. Oh, it was really quite incredible.
It's totally incredible. There's guys doing it down here now. It's very hard to get a hold of because we don't have a lot of salt marsh, But as I say, if they're just in that sort of sea area where they can get a bit of seaweed onto them, it changes. And then, as I say, up to the blackies on the hill and the swales and the crosses on the hills with that beautiful heather lamb, but the mixture of in between. So and you find out what you like. I love blackies, but I do really like in the early sort of March, April time, those first spring lambs are very exciting as well. But they're totally different animals to work on with. They're a lot more delicate.
Right, Richard, should we just round off? And I've told Helen that I've had a chef cooking her evening meal, so I've got I'm winning her over. So can we just tell her that you cooked this rather than me?
Oh, no problem.
Right, we'll go at that end and we'll just show you what we've done. Is that clear, Helen?
Looking good.
Oh, it's maybe just not quite pink enough for you, I would imagine, but it's succulent, very succulent. We're getting to a lovely bit of pink stuff there. So you probably want it a little bit rarer than that, would you, Richard? Or do you think?
I would want it a little bit pinker for my taste, but that's just if my wife, she wouldn't have it if it was pink lamb. She doesn't really like pink lamb. She likes it, It's quite funny that she's not that keen of roast lamb, but she loves barbecued lamb. So,
right.
Just please go out there and try it. That looks good bit of carving, John. Good bit of carving. Not supposed to do that on telly either.
What?
Can't speak now, can you? You've burned your mouth off.
That's delicious. It's so succulent.
No,
it's so succulent.
No, and and it's not difficult. People are scared by it. Imagine
if a muppet like me can do it, Richard.
Exactly, John.
And you don't have to have the guidance of a chef, do you?
No, not at all. No, and have fun with it. No, but, and as I say, don't be scared. Whether you're using shoulders, legs, use the the only thing you probably couldn't barbecue is probably the neck joints at the top, but everything else on a lamb is beautiful on the barbecue, and it really does enhance that lovely flavour of the
Excellent. I tell you what, should we round off there, and we'll just say just hope everyone's enjoyed it, and I think we've talked enough. Thank you so much, Richard, for being involved with this. There's Helen over my shoulder, and we'll hopefully see you in different circumstances shortly. So bye for now, and I hope you enjoyed our little trial. This is our interpretation of cooking food at home with a chef. So thank you very much, and we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.